Hello, everyone. You're watching the RO Sports Show brought to you by Richmond Community College. Thank you for watching today. We've got a great show for you this evening. We're going to talk a little bit about some big news that's come out this week regarding fall sports. And we've got some great coaches here with us to talk to us this evening. Kyle Pillar, our sports editor, will be joining us shortly as well. So we've got some great good conversations coming up. First of all, we'll run around the board. I'm just going to go kind of the way you're appearing on my screen here. So we'll start off with Coach Patrick Hope. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Glad to be here.
Yep. Coach Brian Teal, the head coach of the Raider football team. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Coach Campoleta. I always mess up your last name. I'll just call you Campo.
Go Raiders.
Yes, sir. And Coach Keith Parsons, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks, Dion. Appreciate it.
We're trying to bounce around. So we'll start off with the big positive news that came out this week, and that is I guess we're going to call it summer workouts officially begin today. Coach Teal, we'll start with you. Give me your initial thoughts and feelings about getting the guys back out at the school again.
Well, just excited for those young men. You know, they've been very patiently waiting, trying to work on their own, but obviously there's nothing like being able to get together. We're doing the workouts are exactly that. I think there's been some misconception about it being a practice. It's not anywhere close to football practice this time, but just the opportunity to get out and do some fitness oriented things. We're doing them 6 feet apart. That kind of thing with the social distancing still happening. But the opportunity to be a positive influence on each other and just to have some fun around each other. And again, getting a little bit better shape. That's been a big thing about, worry about how many guys stand on the couch. And so it's been an opportunity to get out there and, maybe burn off a few of those extra calories.
Yeah, and I noticed you as well as pretty much all the coaches. I mean, I've seen you all kind of bounce around on Twitter and social media. I'm really working to keep those guys active and keep them off the couch, even though you're not allowed to officially have practice. You're doing all these challenges and things. You've done a good job. Coach Ashley Larson's done a good job with the volleyball players. Chris Larson, I've seen him put some challenges out for the soccer players and all around. So I got to commend all of y'all for doing everything you can, because there's no real way to handle this time. I mean, it's a logistical nightmare, and I just commend all of y'all for everything you're doing to keep them active and playing.
Well, we've got a great team too. When you talk about a team of coaches at Richmond, I mean, everybody works really well together, and it's we're also sharing each other's posts and things like that. And then of course, all of our staff, several, even one of our challenges was our staff. You see, Coach Hope and Coach Campo here, and everybody participating against the guys. So that was a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Okay, and Coach Hope, run through the sports that you coach out at Richmond. I mean, what part of the football team are you over again?
I'm the head JV coach.
Okay,
so I handle kind of the freshmen and sophomores that play on Thursday night, kind of like leading up to the big show on Friday. And in the spring, I coach boys tennis.
That's right. Okay, and so that's a great point. Have y'all discussed JV sports as well? I mean, are those kind of in the same predicament as varsity sports? If the varsity gets the go ahead, are the JVs good to go ahead as well?
I really think so. I know in a lot of the meetings that we've done, trying to keep our kids engaged, we've reached out to a lot of our younger players. And at times you get a few on there, and then sometimes you don't. And I think sometimes a little bit of that is that, we haven't had as much time with those kids as we have with the varsity kids. And, I think maybe, in a way it could be a little bit intimidating, but, it's also an opportunity for us to kind of get to know them, and them kind of to learn some of the finer workings of what we do offensively and defensively as they kind of move up another level from, either freshman ball to JV, or if they're playing JV for another year. So it's been, very challenging. And I know kind of sometimes when you hear a lot more about, maybe varsity sports, JV might not will be put on the back burner. So that might have, maybe kind of kept some kids off. But I think a lot of with the news that we've gotten this week, I know I've gotten a lot of responses from rising sophomores that are getting ready to go. And I think they're kind of finding their role and knowing that they're going to be a part of it again.
That's great. And I mean, I assume you can at least get them involved in the summer workouts as well that'll start today. So at least if anything, they're getting out there and getting active and staying ready just in case. Coach Campo, now I know your track in the spring. What and you coach defense on football?
Yeah, I coached the defensive backs with Coach Till.
Okay, all right. So I think so I'm kind of missing the lineman conversation. So any of y'all can feel free to chime in on this. But one of the questions that kind of came up on social media, with your skill players, it's a lot of elude and chase going on. But with your linemen, every play is all sorts of contact. What's the thought process with that in terms of trying to keep them maybe a little bit safer during practice, or when practices officially start?
I think right now, like Coach Till said, we're just focused on being around the boys. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. We got great coaches, Coach McSween, Hope, Alfonso, Milton Sweeney. They all do a great job. So they're going to get coached. But right now, we just want to be around the kids. And, we can only do what the state allows us to do. It's not like anyone's getting an advantage right now. I think I can speak for myself and the rest of the coaches that really right now it's just about seeing their faces, and whether it be 6 feet apart or 100 feet apart, we just want to see them and talk to them. So we'll kind of cross that bridge when we get there. Like I said, we're just excited to be around the kids again. That's why we got into this. Obviously not for the money. So we're just excited as kids.
Engineering influences every aspect of our lives, from the cars we drive to the computers we use. Every modern convenience we enjoy is a direct result of the innovative work of engineers and technicians. At Richmond Community College, we are educating the next generation who will be maintaining or improving upon these products and services. Our students work with programmable logic controllers, experiment with solar energy, design and create objects with a 3-dimensional printer, and operate cutting-edge machinery. Students can choose from a number of programs such as mechatronics, welding, mechanical engineering, electronics engineering, electric utility substation and relay technology, and industrial systems. Programs that equip our students with skills for 21st century jobs. Innovative and progressive, Richmond Community College is committed to building a brighter future for its students and the communities it serves in Richmond and Scotland counties. Visit our website today.
Yeah, and I can tell that. I mean, I know yesterday when the announcement came out, or day before yesterday when the announcement came out that y'all are going to be able to meet again. I saw so many dancing emojis on social media. I mean, it was great to see all the happiness and excitement and everything. Coach Parsons, now I want to jump to you for a minute because you also coach multiple sports, but you've also you've been you've had a stint as a sports writer in the county. You've been around Raider sports a long time, and I kind of messaged you earlier because I was trying to think back of, other than the recent hurricanes we've had, have there ever been any significant delays or anything involving sports that you know of over the years?
No, it's kind of like what I told you. I don't think this is certainly unprecedented, and it'll be very interesting to see how it works out. I know that Coach Till and everyone that has a fall sport that is anxious to get back will do a good job and make sure certainly the students stay safe first and foremost. But again, they're there for them. Coach Campo just brought up a great point. I think the people of Richmond County should really know how much these coaches care about your children, care about these students. They're not, I don't know that anyone is worried about winning or losing a game. I think everyone at this point wants to see their students that are on their team, be with them, help them. It's been, gosh, a long 4 or 5 months since we've been together, and just getting back together will be what it's all about.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about you today when I was going over everything, and I was thinking about the ladies golf season. I believe it was last year or the year before, when y'all had so many matches that were either cut in half or canceled, that y'all are actually having to scramble to schedule additional matches just to give them enough 9-hole scores to qualify. And that was kind of the closest thing that I could come up in my mind of an entire season of a sport really being thrown in jeopardy by so many random sporting events. I mean, weather events during that season. So that kind of lead me into this thought. I work a lot in Robeson County, and Robeson County is not handling this illness well at all right now. And I mean, it's nothing really that they're doing wrong. It's just spreading really bad out there. So, my thinking is, if, everything goes to plan, you get the go ahead from the High School Athletic Association to start fall sports, and say Purnell, Sweat, and Lumberton can't play. Coach Till, have you maybe heard of any any thoughts or maybe plans that would give y'all the opportunity to maybe schedule new games on the fly? I mean, your season's already shortened, especially in football. I mean, what would be the situation there? How would y'all handle it?
Well, with us, I mean, I don't. The people don't understand. I don't think how tough it is to schedule football games. For instance, the game with Jones I had to call 50 teams to fill that slate. You know, it's an extremely tough thing to do. So be able to do that on the fly in the course of a week, and be able to game plan and put the guys and get it's pretty much not realistic. So I think what we've got to have in place, and this hasn't been a lot of discussion with the powers that be, it's been more discussion with other football coaches, things of that nature. I think what we've got to do is we've got to have some plans in place where if people don't, how are we going to count that? We just have to determine ahead of time. Is it just a no contest, which is personally is my favorite, and you have to work off of win percentage and that kind of thing, or is it a forfeiture? And I think a forfeiture is the wrong thing because those guys can't do anything about it, you know. And people say, well, what happens if? What happens if? Well, there's a lot of what happens if right now. But the question is, are we making decisions ahead of time so that we have answers, even though we don't say the answers? Now, I love that answer. It's a solid format that gives everybody the same result. And so that's really what we're looking for when it comes to getting those answers and getting that situation set up. I really hope for those kids in Lumberton and Purnell Sweat that's not the case. And it may be a week to week. It could be a lot of people have thrown out the issue, Dion, where, all right, what if somebody is fine and then, they get enough cases on the team that they're out that week? Again, you don't want to punish the overall scheme of the whole season for that. And so that's why I think having a win percentage thing set up ahead of time and maybe a no contest policy or something of that nature might be pretty beneficial. Now, in sports where you can schedule multiple games in a week, I think obviously the first thing you look to do is maybe schedule or get, the states, obviously their criteria for, let's say, soccer, numbers of games is probably going to have to change for those guys. But like you said, if they can schedule and get in some other games, that might be a possibility.
Yeah, and I just want to point out that was just strictly hypothetical with
Right.
Robinson County. I just kind of picked them because I mentioned the hurricane situation before, and there has been situations like that. And obviously, if plans move forward, there are going to be some areas that aren't going to play. I mean, it's just going to happen. So we're going to see a lot of that and a lot of teams shuffling around. But so kind of jumping down the list here of things I want to speak about this evening. One of the things that we talked about is all the things you've been doing during this dead period to keep players active and to keep players involved. And I love all the character building things that I've been seeing. The players posting all these positive messages, the letter to the governor, all these things that really show the maturity of these guys. And any of y'all can chime in on this one. What do you think about how the way your athletes in any sport have handled this situation?
Well, I'm proud of them. I mean, that's the first thing for me. I mean, it's a hard deal, and it'd be really easy to throw your hands up. And I know probably all of them, including the coaches, have at some point gone, kind of do that. But you regroup, and that's what I've been. So the resiliency of these guys continue to regroup and continue to try and look for that light and to continue to dig, has been impressive. And like you said, whether that means writing a message to the governor, whether that means encouraging their teammates. It's been fun to watch guys, share. Guys continue to try and work out, and it's a little bit different. Obviously, the videos that you're seeing, maybe in some guy's basement or something. You never know what you're going to see it, but then watching them repost each other's stuff in the comments and things. So that's been a lot of fun to watch for me.
Now, Coach Campo, you went to Providence, correct? High school?
Yes, sir.
Okay, recently a lot of the Mecklenburg County athletes, had their little protests outside the CMS office about trying to, convince them to keep sports on the table. What do you think? I mean, because I'm going to get to, I got a lead in for this, but what do you think are the differences and the challenges they're facing versus a rural area like ours? I mean, how do you think they're going to make those decisions differently than how our school system can make it?
Well, you're just looking at a bigger area, a more populated area. So you're going to have more cases, you're going to have more issues, and you're going to have more voices. Where like Richmond County, it's, we worry about ourselves. We don't worry about anybody else. In Charlotte, just looking at Charlotte Mecklenburg high schools, I don't know how many there are, but I'd imagine there's 10 plus, within 15 miles of each other. So that's 10 plus head coaches, 10 plus ADs coming up with their own ideas. Where for us, we start from the top with, Mr. Maples and work our way down to, Coach Till. And those are the voices that guys like me are going to follow, and the assistant coaches. And we're all in for that. So I think they're facing a whole different type of issue as far as getting their kids back in school and doing things the right way. One school does it wrong in Charlotte, they all may sink. And that's not the case here. So, I like our leadership a little bit more. Go Panthers and Raiders.
I knew he was going to throw that in there.
Well, and the reason why I kind of brought that up is because there has been some conversation online, and of course this is all just talk, but there's a lot of conversation online that the bigger city school systems will probably dictate the high school athletic association's decisions on how they manage this fall sports season. For example, if Mecklenburg County says they're not going to play, if Wake County says they're not going to play, is Richmond County going to play? Is Scotland County going to play? Is the Sand Hills Athletic Conference going to play? And I'll stick with you. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's going to be a big deciding factor in that?
Yeah, it probably will be, unfortunately. I know a lot of coaches down there, they want to play football. And they want to play sports. But ultimately, when you're looking at the 4 AA, 4 single A, really 3 AA conferences, a lot of them come from Charlotte and Raleigh and Wake County. So it'd be kind of hard to crown ourselves state champions without playing them, and we want to play them. Coach still made that very clear on the Observer. So we're hoping, we're all on the same page and we get that chance to play all the Charlotte that want to play.
Dion, I would like to add to this though.
Yeah.
Campo and I, our whole staff, that's the way we feel, and that's the way our kids feel. But from a policy standpoint, I think it's a pretty dangerous thing to just make. Now, like he said, I don't know who we would play in 4 AA if you don't have Charlotte and Wake. It might be 3 of us playing in the state of North Carolina. But I think it's a pretty dangerous thing, even though there's a lot of population there. For those people in power and to do things just based on those folks. And I want to just be fair about this. I've never been one who I try and make my decisions based on, what are they doing? Like they don't really, that's great if you want to take in a little information, but what do we need to do that's right? And that needs to be up here in the decision-making process. And then if you're taking in some information from places, but I don't think you ever truly make anything great happen, or even slightly above average, if you're only just doing it based on what public and opinion or popular opinion or what you think, they want or they're going to say, or that. I think you get caught up in that, you get distracted from, what's the goal, and that's doing right by people.
Yeah, and trying to do right by everybody and keep things fair. That's going to be a big part of my next question. I was going to go over to Patrick Hope here, since Neely Sullivan couldn't join us this evening. I wanted to bring up tennis for a moment, and Keith, this will be also for you as well. Thinking about sports like tennis and golf, obviously the approach in terms of a safety standpoint is going to be much different on a non-contact sport. How do you feel that things should be handled if there are some big decisions made in terms of schedule changes for the contact sports with the non-contact sports? Do y'all think y'all should kind of be left alone, or do you think should be changed right along with everybody else? Because that's a big conversation going online right now as well. What's your thoughts?
Well, kind of with sports like golf and tennis, a lot of our matches are kind of within the conference. So normally we make our conference run twice, play one home, one away. I think, from a tennis perspective, the distance really isn't an issue. And I knew that was kind of a big thing with our players when the shutdown first started, with the whole thing about non-contact. And, I've got a resilient group of guys, and they're really smart kids. And, could kind of maybe get around some of the reasons why, but I think deep down they fully understood kind of as the thing progressed. But just non-contact, I felt like tennis and golf were like some of the sports that they kind of considered to be kind of like low risk or low impact from the beginning, and were sports that they were really in favor of kind of bringing back before you got to the contact sports like basketball, football, wrestling, those sorts of things. So, I mean, I feel like that's a sport where we've seen it kind of done, like at the professional levels, and they've been able to, for the most part, been able to do it kind of with safety in mind. And if they felt like they couldn't, they just canceled it. And I guess that could be another thing too, where it kind of comes down to, what part of the conference, like how you mentioned, like maybe something could happen in Robinson County or Moore or Cumberland to know, where it could cut down your number of matches. But, deep down, I feel like it's an opportunity where you really get a chance to play, and you don't have to think, about a large mass of people. Tennis matches, we don't have, 10,000 of flashing lights, but it still, brings out a good crowd, especially, parents and grandparents and, friends that want to watch those guys play. So, I think those sports, the logistics are a lot easier to deal with in terms of trying to bring them back and be competitive, as opposed to, some of your bigger sports in the fall and spring.
Yeah, and I'll add, Dion, really golf, biggest concern would be transportation. How are we going to get to matches? Can we, socially distance, wear a mask, do whatever we need to on buses and things like that? Provided we can do that, I think the match itself should probably be almost a non-event. I don't want to belittle any of the issues, but being socially distant on the golf course is not a problem. You're not sharing anything, you're not touching another player. Things, you really much play your own game anyway. So I think golf should certainly be something we could probably go forward with whenever the High School Athletic Association decides to let us go.
All right, and I'm going to jump down to Kyle for a minute. Welcome back, Kyle.
Hey, yeah, busy day, lots of phone calls, lots of people talking.
Well, Coach Hope mentioned wrestling a moment ago, and since you've had a chance to talk with Coach Ashley Larson a little bit, what's your take on the gym sport side of things? I mean, in terms of safety and how that should be managed differently than the outdoor sport.
Yeah, I spoke to Coach Larson this afternoon, and she was definitely upbeat. Not able to join us tonight, but she says hello to everybody. And but she's upbeat, and she said that initially it was approved for her to be in the gym. And the thing, if you're indoors, you can have up to 10 people, and that's including coaches. So realistically, with her and her two assistants, you're looking at having 7 girls participate in workouts. So it's been decided. And maybe Coach Till or some of these guys can clarify too. She wasn't sure what exact location she would be using outdoors, possibly the soccer field, possibly one of the practice football fields. But right now they're looking at getting the girls outdoors, and so that they can expand to that 25 person limit. And the good news with volleyball, Coach Larson's done such a good job the last couple of years, and Coach Wimpy before then too, in growing the sport, that she has 25 rising freshmen who are interested in playing volleyball. And so while, in past years we would be excited about big numbers like that, and I think she still is excited, but at the same time, that's limiting how she can do her outdoor workouts. And so she's looking to get that situated. And she said the focus right now is not so much going to be on the volleyball skills and working on that. It's going to be conditioning, a lot of what they would normally do in the summertime. I know in past years they've worked out at Hamlet Middle School at the outdoor court. So right now she's also had, she said she's had parents and community members volunteer, like grass court nets, so that they could have something outdoors when they reach that point. But right now they're just looking at getting as many as up to, I guess technically if you've got 3 coaches, up to 22 girls out there working out at one time.
And Kyle, I do think they're going to go on the lower football field and use the grass nets. Last time I talked to her.
Yeah, it was. Like she said, she didn't want to put anything definite out there, but I like I said, she's been on the phone just as much as I think any of us have been. I know Coach Till and everybody with the new online registration and stuff. I'm sure that's been a delight to have.
It's been pretty helpful. I mean, in some ways, because otherwise we'd have to meet these kids twice, get the paperwork, and the first day would be all giving paperwork. So it is, while it's had some challenges, it's been a bonus in a lot of ways too.
All right. Well, the next thing I guess I'll bring up is, we kind of followed up with the announcement with the return to sports at Richmond with a message from the governor saying that phase 2 would continue 4 more weeks. That's going to push back past the High School Athletic Association's last delay to start. So I guess we're all kind of sitting back waiting to see what the response is going to be from the Athletic Association, because I think they were waiting on the governor's announcement to make any kind of future decisions. Any thoughts from any of you about, what the decision may be there? I know South Carolina, and I know this is unrelated to our governor, but South Carolina has pushed back the date, I think, another week into, and I had it listed here somewhere, but it's correct. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, do you think we're going to get pushed back again, or?
I don't see football wise. I don't see how we don't now. Like in Keith and Pat, when you're talking to them about the other sports, I mean, they may be able to limit roster and training stuff. But if we stay in phase 2 for 5 more weeks, that means we can only have 25 guys out during at a time during the first week of practice, and you're still going to stay social distance. Football's getting pushed back. That's exactly what that statement from the governor means. When is the question? That would push us back to September 11th. That's when he says, that the next ending would be. So that effectively pushes the season back an additional 2 weeks from the standpoint of practicing and then playing. I mean, that's inevitable, because there's no way to prepare given the certain requirements that we have now, which is, I mean, honestly, from a prep standpoint for us and getting in shape and acclimating for our kids, that's not unfamiliar to what we normally do during the summers. So as long as we're still able to schedule and have a season, they do some adjustments there, which we could hypo-theorize, to create a word, if you will. But any number of things that could happen there, how they could do it. But the bottom line is what that means for football is the actual start of football has to be pushed back given those requirements. I am hoping to see them maybe make some adjustments and get some of these other sports started who can fit within those requirements. I think those kids would benefit greatly from it.
And the other question I was going to ask, since I got a couple of you on here, I know at least 2 of you are very involved in the middle school athletics. Any news as to whether or not those will resume in September as well, or no news yet?
I think. Go ahead, Keith. You're my boss anyway, so go ahead.
No, it's not me. Coach Campo was probably going to say, I think I saw a notice today just on social media that the middle school athletic directors are going to meet with Mitch Hattinger, who's the athletic trainer out of Richmond, along with the school board, maybe later this week or next week, to try to figure out a plan for middle school sports. I know, just as much as the high school students want to get out there and participate, I know the middle school kids are the same. So look forward to just kind of come up with a plan and seeing what we can do, and just hope those kids don't get forgotten, because the middle school kids are kind of the future of all of our programs, and we want them to make sure they get out there and go. Did I leave anything out, Campo?
No, sir.
They're meeting on Thursday the 13th. They're going to meet the 4 middle school athletic directors as well as Neely Herndon, who's the AD at 9th Grade Academy.
And I'll probably get picked on a little bit for conveniently having the Red Ram coaches on here, so I might get a lot of grief about that. All right, Cal, that was the main list of topics that I was going to go over. Do you have anything you want to add since joining?
No, like I said, I apologize for jumping on late, but I'm curious to see how this all works. I'm excited to get. I know you guys are excited to get back out there, but hopefully there's room for one media person to stand on the sidelines. So
Not yet, not for us.
yeah,
No,
I know.
stop.
I'm gonna have to
Get you a drone or
have
something and see.
yeah, I'm gonna have to get creative, but no, we'll figure something out. I'm sure because people are interested to see how this progresses. But I'm excited, but also a little wary at the same time. I think everybody feels that way.
Just get him a helmet, Coach.
Yeah, if I but no, I
That's
certainly
not
don't want
count
to
them
take
now
away from.
because nobody can have helmets on. So
Well, that's true. There you go.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
that again. I want to reiterate this. I've seen this on social media, and I appreciate you guys having us on. That there's some debate about we can't start school. Why are we starting sports and this, that, and the other. And I understand that. I mean, education. Nobody thinks education should be below sports on our staff in an entire school. I mean, all our guys. I know the guys here and everybody. We believe in the adage of student athlete and that students coming first. But I do think that people need to realize part of the educational process, not sports oriented, but just is extracurriculars in general. And it's a good way to start coming back, even though we can't bring 1,100, 1,400 kids back into the building, given the social distancing stuff. It's a good way to start doing some of the educational things that add value to these kids' lives in a small group setting before we bring them into large group settings. And so it allows those kids that sense of normalcy. There's a lot of educational value to it. And we're not going to risk these students' health. We're going to apply all the social distancing and the requirements that the governor in our state has recommended for us, just to try and give these kids, some educational value in the ways that we can.
Yeah, and I mentioned this before in a discussion online that you were a part of, but safety isn't new to coaches. I mean, it's something y'all have always done, and why that seems to just have left everybody's minds because of this pandemic just shocks me. But I was outside working today, and yesterday, excuse me, and it was hot. And I wear long sleeves and ties, and I'm just out there sweating. I'm sitting there thinking, I just had some coach here to keep me hydrated and moving. But you guys have dealt with heat, dealt with injuries, dealt with everything under the sun. Y'all know everything there is to keep kids as safe as possible. And I think the community just needs to know that that's not changing now. I mean, you're going to do everything you can. And I hope the community really does know that it's not just about we want sports more than we want them to be safe, because I've never seen anything at Richmond to make me think that would be the case. So.
Yeah.
Agree.
So anybody want to chime in with closing thoughts? Got anything for us, Campo? Hope, anybody?
Just to mimic what Coach Till said, is we're going to control what we can control. If they're going to push back the season, that's fine. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it, and we got to mimic the behavior we want our young men to have. So, it's, the governor has the ultimate say so. Q Tucker has the ultimate say so, and she's going to tell us what we can do. And, we're not the type of guys that's going to stretch that. We're going to do exactly, these boys' safety is the, number one priority to us. We just want to be around them, and hopefully we can be back out there soon. And if not, we're going to do everything we can to, keep communicating with them.
Coach Hope, you want any closing thoughts?
One, I just think that we've done a lot of things within football to kind of get kids to understand how life goes. And, a lot of the stuff that we do with them kind of goes beyond the football field. And I think it's been a time where they've really had a chance to apply that. And we'll probably have a newfound appreciation for when we're able to get back together and play, and maybe go at it with maybe kind of newfound enthusiasm, and even, a deeper appreciation for the people that kind of make it possible for them.
Hooah.
Coach Parsons, you want to add anything? I'll get to you, Kyle. Your turn.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I would just certainly echo what those guys said, and also add for everyone, just continue to follow the guidelines that our experts have set out. If you're outside, or if you're visiting a business, please wear a mask. I think the sooner we can, do that, best best case, that would help us get back to school and normalcy sooner rather than later. So I would just urge everyone to continue being safe and cautious and see what we can do.
And Coach Teal, I guess I'll throw it back to you if you got any closing thoughts before we get off the air.
Biggest thing is go Raiders, man. Go Raiders.
Yes, sir. Well, I want to thank y'all thank every one of y'all again for joining us. We really appreciate it. We look forward to Raider sports. I know poor old Kyle's about to have a fit. He ain't got anything to cover and write about, and y'all know the big diehard Raider fan I am. I'm just like, I don't think I've slept in about 3 months, so we got to get them blinking lights back on. So, and I even put on, and Coach Till, I even put on Twitter yesterday when they made the announcement that y'all are going to be able to start back. I said, now's when you need to blink them lights out there. See,
that's right. We should have got it control on my phone. And get going.
Yeah.
So thank y'all again, and we look forward to getting sports back. Y'all have a great evening. Thanks again.
You too. Thanks, guys.
All right. See ya.